As someone who started off in sales, I'm sure you have some sales story that is particularly interesting as far as you're concerned, or something that you learned from. What was that, Rajiv?
Yes, sir. I'm very happy to share this. I'm very excited to be part of your esteemed podcast. Thank you for inviting me here. So, my first job was a sales job during my graduation while I was doing commerce graduation. So, I didn't want to
Okay.
depend on my father and mother's pocket money. I had to earn my own pocket money. So, I was working in a smartphone mobile selling store, which also sells accessories and many other stuff. So, it's basically over the counter sales. And the most memorable lesson that I learned in that experience, it was only 15 days of work. I left after 15 days, but that was my starting or launching pad of sales as a career. So it's a memorable lesson from the boss. I've learned that any customer who enters the shop should not go empty handed. So I, so I'm like, and he's a Marwadi boss. So he's like, I'm like, and he's a friend also basically. Uh,
Yeah,
So I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, I can't force him to buy anything. So he
yeah.
says, no, the best that you can give him, which is priceless, is your smile. He should not go empty-handed. He should at least go walk away with smile. But
Okay.
at bare minimum, you can sell him a string for his existing mobile phone, a string that he can
Right.
put it on his form and hang it on in his neck. At least you can sell that.
Right.
Try to do that. But if
Right.
not, at least give him a smile so that he walks away with smile. So that's the
So let's
memorable sales lesson.
so let's start with a smile then. Agriculture is probably as old as civilization itself. And while the industrial age defined the last century, it wasn't as if agriculture lost its importance. In a world where fertile lands are now precious, expanding production using fewer and fewer resources is the challenge. Rajiv Unnithan had to go down several paths before he found what interested and enthused him: soilless farming, which is one part of new age farming. There are several other things, but in today's episode, we'll be talking more about soilless farming. At CV Hydro, he found his calling, joining a driven Lieutenant Commodore CV Prakash, who had plunged into hydroponics after a sterling career in the Indian Navy. What are the possibilities? And what does it offer in terms of a career? That's what we'll find out in today's conversation. My name is Venugopal. I head Ideascape Communications, and every week we go on interesting career journeys and find out how people have come to be doing what they're currently doing today. It's never a straight line, it's always through several ups and downs. And let's see what Rajiv has had to go through to understand that soilless farming is really what is the most interesting part of his career. Hi, Rajiv. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so why don't we start at a point when you were in school and you were trying to figure out what you wanted to do? So, what were the various things? All of us have, we go through a certain set of things, engine driver, all of those things. What were the things that you were thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, I remember teachers asking us to write essays. My ambition. So during those days, I used to write, I want to become a doctor
Right.
as an essay. I never dreamt about it, but I used to write essays about becoming a doctor and helping people heal. That was my ambition back then during school days. But I never thought I will have to go through various career paths to reach here where I'm today. But yeah, that was my early day ambition.
Okay. Okay. And what was the first job you landed?
Yeah, so after school, I went to graduate. Graduate as a commerce graduate. I landed up in a job for just to earn my pocket money, basically. So I was selling mobile phones and accessories in a shop in my local town, and which is Panvel, which is between Mumbai and Pune. It's a friend's shop. He's a Marwadi boss, and my job was to any customer who's walking into this shop, I have to educate them about the various phones that we have, and telling them about the features and difference between phones. And at the bare minimum, I have to sell some accessories or
Right.
activate SIM cards. That was my first job.
Okay. Okay. And then how did things progress? What are the various things you explored over the course
Yes.
of the next few years?
So post graduation, I landed in uh, a financial product selling, which is basically it was a direct selling agency for a largest financial institution in the world. I can say that. So I was working with this direct selling agency. I went through some sales training and stuff, and was able to become from a team member. I became a event business executive as the title they carved for me, where I have to go to various industrial areas and set up some events and basically educate or make people aware about what we are selling. It was basically different kinds of loan products that I was selling and insurance products I was selling. So I was trying to sell these two products to people who are employed in various kinds of industries in Panvel and Navi Mumbai area. So I did that for about a month or so, and I did not find my calling in that, and I had to say bye to that field also. Then moved into customer service. That has been my longest stint. I have been uh, working for Reliance back in the days of when we used to have the CDMA phones when they arrived.
Right.
Uh, the 501 Ek Dhamaka offer, which created history. I used to be customer service agent for activating people, for reminding bills or bill payments. I did that for about a year, and then I was moved to customer retention, which was a very special campaign, especially for people who have not paid bill and have been disconnected from the network. So I have to talk to these people, address their disputes, resolve their disputes, and bring them back to network. That was my job in the customer retention campaign. So I did that
So
for
what did
about
you
6.
find when you were doing those calls? Did you find that people were defensive? They were aggressive? What kind of experiences did you have?
So I can't express the entire stuff, but it was a mix of reactions, mostly angry for their billing details. I have to run through 20 to 25 bills to explain the disputes or to clarify the disputes. So one call can go average up to about 45 minutes sometimes to go through all those 20-25 bills to arrive at the actual dispute and give them waiver or whatever is possible at my discretionary level. So it used to be anger mostly, unhappiness, and I have to deal with that.
But it also teaches you how to interact with people one on one, how to
Yes,
absorb the blows from conversations. Like a boxer has to learn to get hit as much as learn to hit. It's not just one way. There's
absolutely
also
right.
something of being able to take the pressure. So I
Yeah,
think a sales career, and especially a career in which you have to handle clients who are unhappy, is a much better learning ground because you understand how you can find your way around it. Nobody can keep going at the same level of anger all the time. It does cool down. And that is a
yeah,
point at which you don't interject or intervene until they've spent their forces and then, get them through, which
yeah,
is actually a marvelous. And unless you go through it, you're not going to be able to do that.
yep.
Okay. So you went and possibly some of the hardest learning grounds in terms of sales and service and customer retention. Then what were you looking for? What are the various options you were considering?
I was considering to, I was being conditioned to be in the employment career path and was aspiring to become a manager or maybe a boss of one of the departments. Uh, so that was my initial aspirations, but my current focus was to learn the fundamentals and be involved in solving problems in the customer service domain, and that is something that actually made me very fond of that domain actually. So I was enjoying every moment of interacting with customers, with just people, and I love interacting with people. So in Reliance, I mean, I had a manager, HOD actually. This is also another memorable moment I would like to share, if you don't mind.
Right.
Uh, this happened in a loo. So I'm taking a loo break, and this HOD happens to stand beside me, and he knows me probably. So he says, Rajiv, you are not meant for this job. You're meant for something better than this. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, sir, what do you mean? Can you explain? Can you elaborate a little bit more? So he says, like, you have the potential of handling international customers. You are currently handling domestic customers. You should be handling international customers. So, okay, so
Right.
are you suggesting I should quit the domestic contact center job and go to an international contact center? He said, yes.
Yeah.
That would definitely give you growth in your career. So
Okay.
So I asked him, where should I go? Any suggestions would you recommend? So he said, you can go to my employer, my previous employer where I used to work, which was in Mumbai. And I said, can I give you a reference? So he said, no. You go through the interview process, crack the interview. And if anything happens, if a conflict happens, just give me a call. I'll see what I can do. And that's how
Okay.
I moved from domestic Hindi speaking world to a English speaking world. And
Okay.
I was the underdog in the English speaking world in Mumbai. So that was also something amazing that I got the opportunity to handle international clients also.
And what was the product there? What were you selling there?
It was actually UK's, United Kingdom's largest customer loyalty program. They call it Nectar.
Okay.
So basically a loyalty card which is given to customers who buy stuff from various designated stores. And it is one of the largest customer loyalty programs. So we were serving people who were owning those cards. So they get a lot of reward points. And these reward points can be used for various things, including redeeming them on basic groceries to going into leisure trips and holiday and stuff like that. So
Okay.
from basic to luxury, everything you can redeem using those points. And people used to fight. People used to fight for any miss in the points.
Okay.
And I've seen so many different kinds of people in that journey also, sir.
No, it can get quite intense because
Yeah,
there are some people who make it, their sole focus to redeem points and to go after the points. There are people
yeah,
who figure out how to get several credit cards and max out each card by flipping between them.
yeah,
They manage to get the best deals on airlines by using all the points they've accumulated. It
yeah,
takes a lot of work, which is where I wonder how they are kind of oriented, because it's not easy to keep track of all these things. And sometimes I think it's just as much work to try
yeah.
and get each of those rewards, because the companies are not offering them very easily. They make you jump through a few hoops
Yep.
before you can redeem them. It's not
True.
easy
Very.
to do. So
Yeah,
obviously they found their way around it, and they found ways to get into it.
yeah.
Anyway, all of this is kind of training for what you ultimately want to do. Were you, with this transition from domestic to international, finding it better, or were you still saying this is not what I should be doing?
Yeah, at that time, I was enjoying it. I was finding it better for me. It was growth in terms of interaction. I was also focused on improving my communication skills. I was getting opportunity to interact with the people who are very particular about English language. So that is one. I was making better money than what I was earning in the previous job. So on those lines, yes, it was growth for me. And I had to quit that job because the commute time from my home to Mumbai office, it was taking away about 17 or 18 hours from me, and that was not giving me time to focus on something that I can work on for a longer period of time. Maybe spending time on starting a new hobby or maybe some art that I could enjoy. So I was not finding that. I'm also fond of from since childhood. I'm fond of drawing and artwork, but I never used to manage time. I never used to get time or able to find time to focus on those things. So yeah, so I had to quit because it was not giving me my personal space and time. So I had to quit that job and then come back closer to my home, which was in Navi Mumbai. There is a industrial park, and this company is Hewitt Associates, where I joined as a team member. And this is the company where I spent the longest stint of my customer service and operations as a career.
Okay. And what is this company into? What were they selling or
They
what were they managing?
they were into human resource services, benefits, payroll for international companies and clients.
Okay. Okay. And it was something that you kind of adapted to quite easily. You found that it was fairly easy to get ahead. The environment in the company was pretty okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved. If you're referring to Hewitt Associates, where I joined Navi Mumbai, I
Yeah.
that is the reason why I was able to spend 9 years in that company. My reason for quitting was personal, but I was able to spend 9 years with that company because I was enjoying the environment. I loved the culture out there, and it was amazing. And again, a new kind of people group where I am interacting with people about their paychecks, about deductions on their paychecks, about their worries, about their anxieties. So very new learnings out there also.
Yeah. It's amazing how you move from essentially selling mobile phones and accessories to ensure, I mean, to all these other sales jobs. And then in each of them, you figured out a fresh kind of perspective from, which is, I think, the point of changing jobs early on. So, is this something that you think people who are entering jobs should do, that they should experiment with careers before they settle on to something they really like or find what they really like?
Yes, I believe so. I believe everyone should be exercising their power of choice or choices and feel free to explore the options early on and then you adapt to the ones that is suiting you and you're enjoying and you're like, okay, this is my drill. I am loving it. So I think that is the answer to that question, sir.
Okay. So we'll move to the. I'll just make some announcements and then get back to you. Okay.
So,
I'm
so
speaking to Rajiv Unnithan, and Rajiv started out in a career in sales, and he worked with a company selling mobile phones, and then he went into Reliance, and then he went into a loyalty card program for a UK company before he joined Hewitt Associates, which was into HR and payroll, for different streams of sales and understanding. And the customers in each one of them were different. But essentially, all of this helps you understand how to interact with people and how to get to understand what they are looking for. And ultimately, every sale is about meeting a customer need and not just selling your product. And when you interact with a broad range of customers, that's really where you stand to benefit the most. From the next segment on, we'll talk about how Rajiv got into CV Hydro, which is where he's become the operational director, and talk to him about how this whole thing started, because from sales to soilless agriculture is quite a leap, and we'll figure out how that happened. Okay. So, Rajiv, how did this whole thing come about?
yeah, so it's a very interesting turnaround in my life that happened. I had to quit uh, Aon Hewitt. With Hewitt Associates was acquired by Aon Corporation. So I quit Aon Hewitt in 2016 June because I and my wife were expecting our second baby, and my wife says that it will be very difficult to handle a lot of stuff all alone. So I
Right.
need your time. So she asked for my time, and I said like, okay, I'll also take a break because I was also going through a overwhelming experience as an operations manager in the previous job at Aon Hewitt. So I said, okay, let's give yourself a little bit of time, also contribute to your wife, who is also going to be struggling with a lot of duties
Yeah,
at
yeah.
home. So,
Two
so I
young
took a
kids are quite a handful.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sir. And
Yeah.
I thought 3 months would be a good enough time to take a sabbatical kind of a break and then move into something better. So 3 months I was into a new job. I call it the diaper changing job. So I was I was getting good at that. So that but that those 3 months of time I told myself that you are a guy who can't sit idle. You should never sit idle apart from the diaper changing job. You should do something, learn a new skill or something. So my younger brother, he was into digital marketing. He's a mass media and communication graduate, and he was going to a lot of agencies with his exploration career paths. And I thought I'll check with him. So I asked him if you can teach me some tricks and skills of the trade, so I can apply my experience with your techniques, and I'll try to do something. So in those 3 months, I learned digital marketing skills. I focused on, I got time to come back to the creative stuff where I can create something digitally using Photoshop and other tools. So I acquired some new skills, and then I told my brother, why not you and I start a virtual agency? We don't need an office or a real estate for now. We can operate
Great.
as freelancers. And I, with my experience, I come with sales and customer service. I'll do the people facing job, and you be my technical guide and give me be the lighthouse for me for the technical aspect. So
Right.
that's how we started an agency called as Digibhidu. It's a funny name that we crafted somehow. So
This
it's
is
basically
Jackie Schroff's expression. Jai
yeah,
Vidu
Bidu.
and all that used to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Bidu is basically buddy or a friend,
Yeah.
and DG
Yeah.
is digital. So we thought of, and then there was also the philosophy of bees. The bees, how they get nectar from everything, and then how they work, yeah, as group and team. So all that
Okay.
came as a new virtual agency, and we approached real estate clients, we approached marine services clients, and we contributed to their businesses with our experience, and we enjoyed that until December 2019. So that is the point when my brother decided that he wants to move into training. So he moved to Bangalore to teach people, and I remained alone. Then I started my own a new identity, which is now I call it Alma Mentor. So I now my calling starts. So I was always, so that in hindsight I was always looking for people who graduate from certain institutions, and if
Okay.
they can help uplift others to be on the right track. So that was something that I found is missing in the entire career trajectory of humans. So everybody graduates from institutions and becomes something. But then are we also helping those who are lagging behind, those who have potential and can do well? So that was my idea. That was the bulb that lit up, and that gave birth to this brand name called as Alma Mentor. We all talk about Alma Matters, but we don't talk about how to become an Alma Mentor. So so alone, I started looking for mentors. Like you are also a very senior industry expert in advertising and branding. So like that, I was also looking for some industrial experts and whom to connect with and how I can learn from them and how I can contribute to their journey. So that was my whole mission, which I articulated in December 2019, and I happened to connect with CV sir on Facebook about 5 years before December 2019, and I had sent him a small missive on Facebook Messenger to appreciate what he is doing, and he liked it. We had a quick casual chat about it, and then after a couple of months, I sent him a proposal that I see that you are running alone on your mission, and I feel that what you are doing in India is something that is necessary because it's the matter of food safety and food security. That was the context, and I loved um, his belief. He believed that safe and clean food is a human birthright. So
Absolutely.
that so that struck all the chords in me, and I have a very soft corner for farmers. So I'm like, okay, this is the first mentor I can definitely work with. I can learn from. I can help him, and that way I sent him that proposal. But back in those days, probably he was also going through a phase of transitioning from one point to another point, and he did not pay attention to my proposal. I was okay with that. I did follow up, and he said, "Let's wait for some time." So in 2000, cut to 2020, which is the lockdown year, and his training center in Bangalore did not see any new enrollments happening, and all the existing students had to go back home. It's a practical training center for people who are interested to learn soilless farming. It's like a kindergarten. It's 1,300 square feet back then, which which used to train more than 10 to 15 students at a time in different environments: polyhouse protected cropping, shade net protected cropping, open to sky systems. So CV sir reached out to me saying, Rajiv, I want to continue teaching. I can't stop teaching. That is the love. That is my love. That is my passion. So I said, like, you can do it,
Okay.
but this man doesn't believe in teaching agriculture online. So how do I make him believe that? That was the question to myself. So I said, sir, I'll give you a guide. You follow this guide and execute these two webinars. So I sent him a proper guide, step by step. He did it with some local support, I think. He executed those two webinars, and he was so thrilled because he made some money also in the process in the free webinars. So he came back to me, Rajiv. I had great fun doing those webinars. I'm loving it. Send me that proposal back again. So I sent him the proposal. He immediately, the very next day, he sends the money into my account. And from that moment, there is no looking backwards. And after working on a key business initiative, apart from the online teaching vertical, we also started a key business initiative by doing which he did actually, an R&D on turmeric and ginger. And to take that to field was the key business initiative, and we did really well in 2022 in terms of revenue and the growth as a company. So he appointed me as a director in his company. He rewarded me 5% equity in his company as a gift. So that was my journey,
Wonderful.
how I started with CV.
So, what were those webinars about? How did you help him get people to attend? Because I would think that people from you were not looking at people in the farming community. You were looking at people who wanted to get into soilless agriculture. How was he prospecting for those kind of people?
Yeah. So the webinar was to teach people to create awareness about soilless farming and the nitty
Okay.
gritties. And the steps for prospecting was, we just created. I think he created one single poster, which he published on social media channels. And all those who are interested to learn soilless farming, they can join the free webinar, register by submitting their registration forms on Zoom. I think Zoom registration form was used, and it was open to everybody. Anybody who is interested to learn can join this free webinar. So in India, the reality is, the traditional farmers, they are not educated and are not inclined to science. So this was not for them, and this also entails higher investment compared to traditional farming. So which filters them out naturally. And it was only targeted to people who would like to do a hobby gardening at their home, maybe a rooftop farm, and people who are planning to start a commercial farm. So those were the audiences that we were looking for.
Okay. And this is a fairly large market in India?
I won't say a very large market. It is growing. It is nascent for some venture capitalists in India. They say that it is a very nascent stage, but it is a growing market, and it will continue to grow exponentially because the context about safety and food security, that matters a lot. Because in India, we currently do not have any traceability system when it comes to consuming fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
We don't know
Okay.
where these are grown. So with respect to traceability systems, with respect to food safety and security, this will be the future of farming.
Okay. Now, he did the first step of giving people a kind of primer on what soilless farming was. So, what was the next step? These people who did the webinars, what
Mhm.
would they do? Did they want to take off, do something on their own? Was he involved with helping them further? How did he expand his customer base?
Yeah, so after the webinars, what happened was we connected professionally, and then we planned out the online. training programs, which used to be a 3 day, 4 day training programs on Zoom. And the webinar was an awareness session where we created awareness. So let's say if we have 100 people who joined the webinars, about 10 or 20% people would attend our training programs. So that was the modus operandi or the approach that we followed. And anybody who completes our training program, they have two roadmaps. One, they can do it on their own at their personal space, rooftop or maybe garden. And the other people who would like to do something commercially, they would sign up for a commercial consulting agreement with our company, and we guide them from setup to harvest. So our scope of work is between the setup, the seeding time, and the harvest time. That is our forte, our scope of work.
So typically, how large would the space required be? Anywhere from, let's say, 1,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet, because we are looking at rooftops and we are looking at terrace gardens. So, what is the minimum, kind of requirement, and where would it begin?
The minimum to learn and to do a small pilot commercial project can be anywhere between 500 square feet to 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
For commercial, you can do anything between 10,000 square feet to 1 acre and above.
Okay. Okay. And he would advise them on the kind of crops they needed to grow, or
No,
till what point?
no.
What is a business model like?
Sorry, I lost you there. He will not advise. We don't advise anybody about what to grow.
Okay.
We ask people to do the market research, do the market survey, understand what sells. Don't
Okay.
grow what you like. Grow what sells in the market. That is the mantra that I
Yeah.
learned from CV sir. And we also have a principle, a mantra that we live by. We tell people you start small, you learn hard, you skill up, then you scale up. So this is the principle we always talk about. Anybody who approaches us for their interest in soilless farming or hydroponics, our fundamental question to them is, do you have essential skills and experience to manage your farm operations? This is a qualifying question in itself, because if the answer is yes, then we can get started with commercial farming. But if the answer is no, then this person needs to go through a start small, learn hard, skill up process.
Okay. What about Mr. CV Prakash? Look, what was his background like? How did he get into this hydroponics? Because from what I saw, he used to be in submarines and he was in the Navy, right?
Yes, sir.
So it was quite a career
Yeah, yeah.
change for
For me,
him as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. For me, I was also perplexed when we connected on Facebook about 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
It was also accidental, and I looked at his profile. I'm like, okay, he's a commander from Indian Navy from the submarines, and he's into farming also. That was very interesting. So I was like, okay, let me explore more. And then I sent him that short missive about what his journey. And then when we connected personally, I did my first Alma Mentor vlog with him. That was my first vlog. And after that, I did not do vlogs. I would be learning from you how to maintain the consistency of doing vlogs. Absolutely. I gave up on blogging, and I joined his journey. So his
Okay.
journey, actually, he retired from Indian Navy voluntarily after 14 years of service, and he moved to Dubai in petroleum and oil and gas industry. He worked there for 2 years, and then from there he moved to Australia, where he was able to connect with a company called as Global Hot, and for them he did a joint venture with three cocoa peat manufacturing companies in India and Sri Lanka, which are
Okay.
the companies who are exporting to other countries in the West. And that was his first job, getting a joint venture done with these companies. And and this company where he landed, he saw this greenhouse with beautiful vegetables and flowers growing without soil, nicely kept and organized, and he fell in love with that. And I can still remember how he shares this very passionately. He shares this with people, and From that moment onwards, he decided that he will learn the skill, and he worked like a farmer on massive farms in Australia as a labor. Sometimes on weekends, he used to get 4 cans of beers, no pay. And he worked like farmers. He learned the skill the hard way. He was promoted to a role of farm gate manager. And after 8 years
Okay.
of hard work toiling there, he came to India in 2008 because he decided that he must pioneer this science in India the way he learned it. And that's how he became the pioneer of soilless farming in India in 2008. Taught more than 17,000 students till date, and
Okay.
we are still teaching and inviting a lot of people. He has consulted more than hundreds of farms, audited more than thousands of farms. In India, to be honest with you, India, I mean, we all use the word hydroponics in a very easy way. It's a very fancy word for most people. Everything that is grown in soilless farming is called as hydroponics, just like we use the word Xerox for photocopy. So, and
Okay.
in India, the truth is 99% of the hydroponic farm is failing. It is because the focus is only on ROI and the numbers shown on spreadsheet by some great consultants in the country. Nobody is focusing on the skill of agronomy, which is a very sad
Right.
situation. And
Right.
the sadder situation is that the BSc Agri graduates in India, graduating from agricultural colleges and universities, they don't have any practical exposure to traditional farming also, let alone hydroponics and soilless farming.
Okay.
Recently, we've got a bunch of interns at our practical training center in Karamadai, Coimbatore, where these interns are coming from just fresh graduates and some esteemed institutions. They don't have any practical experience. Now they have completed about 50 days in our training center in Coimbatore. They feel very empowered and they feel very confident now. Okay, now I can like walk into any commercial farm and tell them that, boss, I can do what you want. So that's the reality, and that's a little bit of story of TV sir.
That's incredible because it's not as if he tried to do it simply by a knowledge on the by degrees or by trying to read about it. This
Yeah,
is actually working on the farm and seeing what happens and doing it for as long as 8 years because that's far beyond any graduation program or whatever. But it gives you a real deep understanding of what is involved in the real aspects of growing anything because
yeah,
at the end of the day you have to enjoy that hard work because it's not easy being on a farm. It's not easy handling all the other issues with regard to water and uh, you know here of course it's all fertilizers, but I think in the hydroponics you control that to a very large extent. And what you mentioned early on, that is, you don't have tracking of what exactly is the
yeah,
environment and the quality standards that are maintained at the time of growth. We have organic, which is the only thing that is there, but to an extent that is the part. So uh, now I see him growing, or CBI hydro, which you're involved with, as creating a base of people who will drive this forward because in their own individual way or due to their interest they will work with farms and then do it. Where do you see this going? What are the steps that you're taking in order to help this grow further, and what are your plans for the future?
yeah. Thank you for asking that question, sir. That is so we'll have to fall back onto our mission statement. We would definitely want to see Agriveers. That is our CV Hydro's tagline. We are
Right.
creating Agriveers. Earlier, the tagline was empowering Gen Next farmers. So we
Okay.
made that change last year. Now, a lot of people criticized us. You are actually copying Agniveer from military. So I said, like, yeah, that is a must. If Agniveer is there for military, why not Agriveers for Indian agricultural landscape?
Makes sense.
Why can't we glamorize or give the light on the real people who are supposed to take care of crop management, whereby they will be able to produce safe and clean food for humans, which is their birthright. And that requires a lot of hard work. That requires a lot of, that entire process is not a walk in the park. So there has to be a company or a person who must lead this mission of creating Agriveers in India, and that had to be, I think, it was a God sent by the Almighty. CB sir was chosen for it, and I am here to help him out on that mission. So we intend to create Agriveers in India, and these Agriveers are the BSc Agri graduates who pass out from colleges, but barely 25% get placed in the campus placement activity. The others lose track of their career path. They end up remaining unemployed. Most people remain underemployed with the qualification that they carry. So that's a very sad state that we would like to change to address that gap. There is a lot of skill gap also in India with respect to hydroponics and soilless farming. People think it is a push button technology, but it is not a push button technology. There is a lot of involvement. You may bring in a lot of agri tech stuff, high tech stuff, but you will be never be able to remove human from the equation of the process, the agriculture. You will have to have very sharp observation and involvement to ensure that you are not making a single mistake in precision farming or in new age agriculture, whatever forms of agriculture that you would want to pursue. But you have to be involved for sure, and we would like to create these kind of people with skills, with life skills, with abilities that is unmatched in the country, which is not currently available. The supply is scarce.
Okay. Okay. Great. So let me summarize the previous section where we explored how Rajiv got into soilless farming, which is so far removed from what he had been doing until then. It was a chance post on Facebook where he was responding to Commander CV Prakash, who had his own company called CV Hydro. And Rajiv found it interesting enough to approach him and send him a proposal, which was not taken up at that point. But subsequently, about a year later, he came back to him. And then this is at the point when the COVID pandemic had just begun. And Rajiv helped him set up a webinar for people who are interested in learning more about soilless farming, which went well. And ultimately, that helped him pave his way for an entry into CV Hydro, where within about a year, I think, or a little more than that, he became part of the company. He became director on the company and got a shareholding into the company as well, which means that he delivered in several ways in helping to grow the business of CV Hydro by understanding what really needed to be done. It's amazing how the founder of CV Hydro spent 8 years in Australia learning about it, even though his earlier career was in the Navy as a submarine commander. So, quite a change of professions there as well. And then coming back to India to start this generation of Agriveers, because if you have to change mindsets, you first have to find the people who are willing to change. And he found them in agriculture graduates and people who are interested in getting into industry, into soilless farming, because the conventional agricultural course doesn't seem to touch upon a whole lot of these emerging markets which are available. In the final segment, I will be talking to Rajiv about what soilless farming holds, what are the various techniques, and maybe what are the other things that I should be looking to go more deeper into with people who are practicing it. Because agriculture is a umbrella term. There are so many things. And when we talk of new wave agriculture, Rajiv was very clear that we're going to talk about only soilless farming, and there's a lot more that can be explored. But today, we'll talk about what CV Hydro is doing and what he believes are the possibilities. Yeah. So from here, what are the crops that you are focusing on? I think you said turmeric and ginger to begin with. So they are obviously large cash crops, and there is always a massive need for turmeric. I heard that India grows among the largest, is one of the largest producers of turmeric in the world. So there's amazing potential. So, what is your kind of advice, and how exactly does CV Hydro now is more into training, or does it also get into consulting with farmers in terms of helping them understand how to grow their markets?
Thank you for asking that question, sir. So our primary business vertical is skill building and training because that is what is the biggest gap in this country. Secondary
Right.
vertical is commercial farm consulting, and the third vertical is farm inputs and supplies required for soilless agriculture. So, like I mentioned earlier in the previous segment, the qualifying question that we ask to the leads that approach us is, are you essentially skilled and experienced to manage your own farm operations? If the answer is yes, then we request them to sign up our consulting agreement and we take them through the journey of setting up a commercial farm based on the crop that they want to grow. We don't recommend crops to be grown. We tell them, we guide them that you should always choose or select a crop that sells in the market and not what you like. So you can do your market survey, market research. If you want to test the waters, as they say, you can start a small pilot project in your location in the geographical region which you want to cater to. And first you test it by growing there and then try to sell it to a local neighborhood. Like CV sir says, the market is right under your feet. Why don't you begin there? So, so he would say you start 1,000 square feet pilot farm in your location, you grow something good, and you sell it to your neighborhood. Get feedback, create success stories, then gradually move into other towns, other cities. That's how you gradually scale up. That is our approach that we recommend to people. But but for people or for companies who are ready to invest, we have a very thorough consulting deliverables. We take them through the consulting agreement and we plan it properly, which sometimes takes about 6 to 9 months of crop planning, and then we move into setup and we take them to handhold them to harvest. So that is the process that we normally use.
Okay, so give me an example of a farm which you set up, let's say from starting. Just take me through the process of something which you've done over the last couple of years. You
Yeah,
can take one specific crop and how you help to establish that company.
sure. So, since you mentioned turmeric, I would like to talk a little bit about turmeric. It has been a key business initiative because during the lockdown, we had nothing to do. CV sir in Bangalore, he planted a bag full of turmeric in different environments, and he did a full-blown R&D on turmeric to achieve, and he achieved certain results which has never been seen in the traditional turmeric space. For example,
Okay.
the yield. Turmeric plants in traditional turmeric farming, you will get about 300 grams or maybe max 1,000 grams from a single plant that you sow in soil. But in our way of doing, in the grow bag system where we use cocoa peat, we were able to achieve 8.19 kilos of wet turmeric. So that's a
Wow.
significant
Eight
difference.
times.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
and and quality wise, it is completely residue free. We lab tested it and there was no residue, there was no heavy metal traces, microbiological contamination was near zero, which means well within tolerable limits. And the curcumin level, which is the most popular compound that people look for in turmeric, the curcumin levels of Salem variety, which was used in the R&D, in traditional method, it does not exceed beyond 2.5 to 3%. But when it went through our system of Soilless, in the lab reports, the curcumin levels came up to 5.91%, so which is also a
Wow.
significant increase. So that told us something that okay, turmeric has a big potential in terms of innovation, yield, and farmers can definitely make more money if they choose to grow it in the soilless way. So
Okay.
then we started.
Okay.
So then we started again. We started with webinars. Initially, we did free webinars to create more awareness about the key business initiative that we were planning for. And the idea was to first create awareness, then invite them for training programs. And there were a couple of options. One is a online training program. The other one was a practical roadmap where you do a small practical learning project at your own location using CVSR's consulting support, which is completely WhatsApp delivered. But the responsibility lies more with the grower who is participating, because that person needs to communicate proactively and report a lot of data to CVSR, which will position CVSR to remediate as needed or guide as needed. So that was the process initially. So in that process, we were able to train more than 400 people till now. And out of those 400 odd people, 100 plus people approximately did the small format learning project, which can be done in 500 square feet or 1,000 square feet at the minimum. 500 square feet can keep 60 grow bags, and 1,000 square feet can keep 120 grow bags. 1 acre can keep 8,250 grow bags. So why expose your financials to a greater risk by doing a commercial if you're not sure of how to do this? So we recommend them to start small, go through a practical journey, gain the experience and skills that are required to scale up. So that was our approach for these people who are new to this world of soilless farming. And once they gain confidence, they can decide to come back to us if we have to plan a commercial journey ahead. So that's how we approached this whole last 5 years. But because the initial investment and a lot of things happening in the market, we are now in this year we are having only three commercial growers who are doing their commercial turmeric projects. Out of the 400 plus trained people, there are three commercial growers this season. One is in Dharwad, Karnataka. One is in Anakapalli near Vishakhapatnam, and one is in Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh. There are three locations who are doing commercially, and there is one of the best performing trial projects happening in Coimbatore in our practical training center, because CV sir is spending his personal time there. He's involved there.
Right.
That's why that is doing
Right.
really well. So when it comes to doing commercial, when the people are ready with their practical approach, we ask them to sign up a consulting agreement, and we send them to the right vendors in the industry. So for a 1 acre scale, you would need a structure which is basically a flat roof shade net structure, 50-50 mono net on the top, and on the sides it will be insect screen. So this structure in the market is currently available between 15 to 22 lakhs for 1 acre.
Okay.
But we came across a very good gentleman last year, and we've been meeting a lot of amazing people on this journey. So this gentleman has got immense experience, and he's done some great work in the country, bringing a lot of stuff from Israel. And he is able to provide the same flat roof structure, including GST, in 10 lakhs. No need to
Wow.
go for agricultural subsidies at all, because that process is totally different. So you don't have to wait for the subsidy process. We have removed that barrier. You can work with this man and get your structure ready. Then we have certain inputs that we provide. So at CV Hydro, in the R&D, we have a list of standard inputs which was used, and those are non-negotiable to ensure that the output that we're looking for should not be compromised. So those inputs are supplied by CV Hydro, like nutrition. Nutrition is CV sir's own formula. He's got formulas for 62 different plants and crops, and these three nutrients are like we call it grow, which is used for vegetative growth. We have bloom, which is used for fruiting and flowering, and then we have root, which is used for the root or rhizome development. So these are the three nutrients formulated by CV sir. This is given by us. Then there are friendly microbes and bacteria that we provide. We provide sticky traps, grow bags, coco peat. Coco peat is one of the four non-negotiables of soilless agriculture. And
Right.
in today's world, coco peat, as we speak, it is shooting. The price is shooting beyond the roof, 55 rupees per kilo. And recently, again, we came across another gentleman who came our way and told us that we can definitely reduce that cost in a different way by eliminating the processing work. So cocoa peat is delivered normally in a 5 kg block, which is compressed in a factory. So that entire process has been eliminated. Now we are able to deliver hydrated, low AC, washed cocoa peat in bags, and at a pricing which is significantly dropped to 20 to 23 rupees per kilo.
Okay. Okay.
So
But tell me, in yeah, this is the. It's great that you're giving actual figures which are on the ground. But what about the the whole point of labor? Your regular farming is very labor intensive. Does soilless farming require less people to grow things, or is it the same requirement there? It's only the nutrients and various other aspects where you can save money.
yeah, labor is essential during the initial setup phase where we need help for heavy lifting jobs. And we would need labor again during the harvest time. These are the only two areas when you need more labor. But in between the growing journey, you only need about two people max for a 1 acre farm.
Okay, so that does make a lot of sense for people who would worry that fine, you're getting the technology which is much more advanced, but if it involves a lot of handling of labor at certain points in time, that would be another difficult proposition for them to manage. But
So
overall, what I see from what you've told me so far, Rajiv, is that soilless farming again depends on, like you said, so many other factors which people have to keep in mind, which is commercial viability. How many crops can you grow during the course of the year? What is the demand? And what is the effort involved in getting it to market? So, in conclusion, what I want you to kind of focus on is, if you are somebody who's interested in soilless farming and it interests you, what are the steps you should take in order to sort of advance that interest? Joining CB Hydro and taking one of your webinars is the starting point, but what are the other steps you would advocate?
the most important and critical step is to focus on acquiring skills and experience. If you are a person who is going to manage your own farm operations, otherwise you have to hire somebody who will do it for you, which is a little tricky situation to be in.
Okay.
Cost
So
wise,
you have to
and
have the passion to get into it.
yeah, ideally you should, if you are ready to be involved. I see a trend happening. I spoke about this on LinkedIn in one of my posts also. In the last 5 to 6 years working with CV Sir, I've been interacting with thousands of people day in and day out, and I see a trend happening that people are falling back to agriculture, especially from the software and the IT world. So all these people will come back to agriculture. If they immediately start big without having skills and practical experience, it is going to be a failure mode, guaranteed failure mode. So what we recommend them is, you first focus on skills, do your market research survey about what to grow, what to sell. Once that is done, you start focusing on acquiring experience and skills by doing a small pilot project. You can, I mean, there are many people who are doing it by looking at YouTube videos and lot of knowledge on the internet. There are many people who are doing it, which means these people are very passionate about it. But always have a right mentor or a right guide besides you who will handhold you from seed to harvest. And once that journey is completed, then you can leave the hand and then you move into commercial or hobby gardening or whatever. But always use a guide, a right guide.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for taking the time, Rajiv. I'm sure that there is more that people can learn once they get in touch with you and Commander Prakash, because obviously this is the need for a whole lot of people who want to explore other options. Thank you very much for being on the show, and it's been a pleasure. Okay. I'll talk
Thank
to
you.
you once I finish the. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.